weekly call. Um, let's start with our usual intentions, distractions, and something that has been in your weekly playlist. Maybe I'll pass it to Acid Laser first.
Thank you, Chuy. Intentions, just to see what's up, what's going on in today's weekly sync. Distractions. Um, I have no distractions. I think anime playlist. I'm listening to the new song from a Mexican band called Austin TV, and that's it. And I'll pass it to Miguel.
Intentions just to catch up with the comms. Distractions. There's a mosquito here that I want to kill, and I've been listening to Nasdrovia this week. And I'll pass it to Manu.
Intention would be to see how the updates unfold. No distraction and playlist. I've listened to Sade. I'll pass it to El Centeno.
Hi. Intentions just to join the group and learn how the comms group works, and distractions, my coffee, and what I've been listening this week. I've been listening to the new song from Los Flacos, the new EP, and I'll pass it to. Oh, I haven't seen who's there. Who's on
Throw
the
it
group.
to Tam.
Okay.
Yeah, I can take it. So
Thank you.
intentions are just to see how I can help comms and support comms through this new transition phase they're going through. Also to see what we're working on. Distractions are, this is a pretty bad time because it's the time that I cook for the kids. So I am distracted in the kitchen, which is why my camera is off. Sorry about that. And my playlist, I have been tearing through these episodes. It's called Awakening from the Meaning Crisis. It's this professor in Toronto named John Vervaeke, and it's extraordinary. I didn't know when I started watching them that there's like 20 of them. So I watched the first one, and now I think on the 8th one, and I just can't get enough of them. So anytime that I'm not doing work or something, I listen to these. And I'll pass back to you, Chuy.
Thank you, Tam. Well, my intentions is to go through the agenda topics. We have kind of like a tough conversation today, and at the same time, I feel it's going to be a very short call in that sense. And yeah, distractions a bunch. I have a lot of work like around Bogota, and I'm leaving like next week. So yeah, and also my girlfriend had like dental surgery, so I've been like running and multitasking like yeah. So it's like busy, intense day. So I'm a little bit distracted by that, to be honest. And something that has been in my weekly playlist. I was after the Chucho Valdez so a playlist that I had last week. I started listening to. There's like this really cool album that I think it was live in London. But it's Eric Clapton. If there are any like Eric Clapton fans there, and a jazz musician called Wynton Marsalis, like a trumpet player and composer. They have a concert like where they just did like songs of each other, but like combining like jazz and like Eric Clapton signature blues. So I highly recommend that concert. I think they took it down from Spotify, but you can find it in YouTube. Okay, we were just joined by Marathon Mind. So would you like to introduce yourself and share some intentions, distractions for today's call? We were just about to start. Okay, let's start with our call then. So we have this big topic for today. As you know, we've been, let's say, like struggling to adapt, right? Back when we had, that the Commons upgrade and all of these like exciting phases for what was coming on for comms, we had this approach about like scaling, right? Like how can we add like more contributors to communications? How can we diversify? So this is why we started looking into teams and the different ideas around it. However, I do think that the current challenges are different, and that even though most of the teams were successful in just contributing with really cool stuff, there hasn't really been, like more like innovations and just like, let's say, like significant contributions, right? Like other than our like usual comms activities. So, okay, I just took the change there. We of course were talking about like coming back to this like single core communications, like unit, or like come back to like how the working group used to be structured before like splitting into different teams. However, in talking to different members of the community, we decided to come to a total halt. We need to stop like communications. We need to stop like marketing, and just like reevaluate how we're gonna approach this. Like, how can we keep just activity that will allow us to prepare and to just better plan for a proper like marketing strategy in the future. So I didn't want to do this. However, I feel that during the past months, like we've been like a little bit lost in different ways. So this is why we are like proposing that, okay, let's stop after September. We're gonna take like probably the month of October just to think about how can we put together, like something different, something that works. But there are like some things that some subjects that I wanted to touch on, and one of those is compensations, like compensations for current contributions for the month of September that are gonna be just like are gonna be like in a way, let's say, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Let's just like compensate like people on how we've been working in the past for the work that was done in September. But we're gonna be let's say like in October, we're gonna like just reevaluate like compensations, and we're not gonna have like the same flow. We have two different projects that are still like from teams. So my idea was that if translations are not delivered after October, same thing with animation, we're gonna take the rest of those funds from those multi-sigs and put them back in the common pool. So in a way, like if anybody wants to like pick up, I was hoping that Enti showed up today, but I'm gonna be reaching out to him later today to explain him this part. But yeah, like if none of these like teams projects are delivered in the end of October, we'll move all of those funds back to the common pool, and we'll most likely be doing the same for all like marketing budget. So probably I'm gonna have a better idea of that after the next call, which is Steward's. However, I wanted to put this like on the table because I know that it might be like difficult and like part of the adapt, but yeah, let's keep thinking about like how can we prepare and better adapt to like to a near future. Something that we were just like talking in the last call is about like how uh, different in fundamentals the communications for Web 2 and for Web 3 is, like marketing in general. So let's find out how we can like reapproach this and find something that can suit our current situation just in a better way. Um, and so yeah, maybe I'll open the stage to see if anybody has some feedback or just like opinions or something that you'd like to also like questions that you might have. And if you think that there's some compensation or like there's like usual compensation for X amount of work that gets delivered, please let me know so we can write them down and we can just have a clear path, especially regarding the funds of how many of these funds are going to come back to the common pool. So maybe I don't want to, do you want to take it first, Acid Laser?
Can I just
Yes.
hop in?
Sorry,
Can
Tom.
I? Sorry, no, it's okay. Can I just add a few things before, if that's okay, Acid? I just wanted to say some things. I think comms have done like some really great work, but the challenge now is to go back and ask ourselves, what are the communication needs of the TEC, and make sure that we're servicing the needs of the TEC. And I think that's really the fundamental question. Like, what does TEC actually need in terms of communication, and to consolidate a lot of that effort so it's not so broad and diffused, but it's really focused on what comms needs to deliver. The other thing I want to say is, I think that there's probably maybe some pieces of work, like Twitter is probably something. I don't know if we could stop Twitter, for example. So that I think there might still be some pieces of work in comms that like keep the light on kinds of things. I don't know if you agree with me, Chuy, but I think there might be some things that should probably still continue. And then also do the reevaluation during October. I think that's all I wanted to add. Thanks, Chuy.
I definitely agree. I feel that if there is like enough room, as I said, like I feel that I'm gonna have a better idea after we get like some community signaling in the Steward's call. That's next. But I do agree that if there is a way in which we can keep like some kind of not minimum but just like essential activity, and something that we can translate into like a specific flow, I feel that it could work. But like since we were already like trying this, like my first approach would be to, okay, let's just like halt and reevaluate the in the next days. But yeah, like if there's any way in which we can keep like very like select like essential activities, I would totally support keeping some kind of activity. As I mentioned, like I've been mentioning in the last few calls, like my intentions are to stay more in a side of stewarding, and right now the situation with the steward working group is that they also like communications that like there's no funding, so I'm trying to also like find a balance in which I can keep stewarding communications but not create like more dependency. So in the end there's I mean, in the end, that like we and as we've been saying, like the problem is like how we can adapt to these circumstances. So yeah, thanks for mentioning this, Tam. Acid Laser, you want to take it?
Yes, I just want to confirm if the pending payments of translations are getting from the marketing multisig, because the work is stopped because there's no funding. But I don't know if NT knows that we're going to use the marketing multisig to pay these people.
Um,
or no?
I mean, I guess that if it can, I mean, if we already have pretty much everything and it's just about a final push, I would support it. It wasn't a lot of budget, and I feel that translations could be um, of a lot of help. But as I mentioned, like if it's something that is gonna like last longer than October for delivering, I would rather send the funds back to the common pool. But if NT is confident and he feels that he can like deliver this in October, I would like. I mean, in the end, that's our problem, right? Like, there's not a lot of stuff going on. The market is not very interesting as it like used to be some months ago. So we're pretty much like, like covering for needs that aren't there anymore. I do feel that documentation and translations and just like a wider availability is something that can bring a lot of benefits to the community, yes. But at the same time, it's just like there and no one has really like picked up on it. It's pretty much like the animation video. So now that we are discussing returning funds to the common pool and just reapproaching the whole thing, I feel that it would be fair to have like to give like a window of opportunity to for these projects to like being able to deliver. But I would set a really hard and strict deadline on the end of October. If none of this is delivered and none of this like gets picked up before October ends, I would support taking it back to the common pool because some of them have taken more than a year. So,
is there any status update on like which articles are being translated by who? What's the, is it started? Is it in draft? Is it finished? Do we have any visibility?
yes,
I mean, I know we do somewhere, but
it's pretty much in the D work. Like the D work already says what has been covered, what has been delivered, what has been compensated, in some translations that haven't really like still like no one has really taken those bounties. So it would be a matter of like picking that up and making it work for like the rest of the month.
Does this sound like a good suggestion? Anything that hasn't been started is just taken down, like the bounties are removed. Anything that's been started, it's sort of like, hey, can you deliver in the next week? Otherwise, we're gonna, remove this bounty. And any work that has been done should be compensated. Let's just start with that as like first principle.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah, of course.
yeah, I agree. I know we agree. But
Yeah, I
then
would
just give people like a week to finish any translation that they've already started. Something like that seems fair.
Okay. Yeah, I agree, Tam. Probably we can set like a shorter deadline for translations. They can have like until next week maybe to deliver whatever translation is available, and after that, whatever hasn't been taken yet, we scratch it, and yeah, pretty much work for just compensating and just managing the proper, like publishing and this part of things. Okay. Okay. Does anybody else want to take the stage and share like any thoughts, questions, suggestions, like whatever is on your mind? Or also, as a teaser, before I forget, you do have compensation for September, right? What is the usual activities like based on the budget that you cover?
I have the full Twitter management now.
Okay.
Tweeting, design.
Okay, great. Okay. Does anybody else want to take it or have any questions?
And also the animation video is going pretty well. We have it mostly done, so hope we can show you in the next days.
Okay, sure. Especially in the rewards working group, if there's something already like put together, in the end, I mean, of course, I can always help you with the feedback, but in the end, like they're the clients, so probably that could be taken as like the final, like word on decision and something.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if you're talking, Manuel, because we can hear you.
No,
oh,
I just
there we
want
go.
to say that for me, it's for September, it's the marketing role and half of the Gorgio coordination lead, and it'll be the last month.
I actually wasn't planning on touching the coordination lead, especially because of this like problem that we're having right now.
Okay, this is the second time you asked me to perform the coordination lead role, and then when I asked for the payment, you say we're not going to do it. So it's
Yeah, I
fine,
mean,
but come on, like I did the restructuring through that, but I mean,
but like that there wasn't like really like a deliverable on that, Manu. Like I'm like I'm sorry, but it's part of the reasons on why we're like taking some decisions, like because we really don't have like any coordination capabilities, or just like that's one of the main issues.
the deliverable is the HackMD I've been working on, and it was going to be ready today or tomorrow, like before the end of the week, so that we could present it for October. But that's fine. Just give me the marketing, the compensation for the month. I just want to say it happened twice, and the first time I was like, okay, it's fine, but second time, you know,
What is the work that the coordination lead does or was doing? What are those responsibilities?
It's
well,
pretty much based on the same roles that were defined by the stewards working group. Um, Working like coordination lead for communications used to like make more sense in teams. Right now, we try to like put this effort for coordination lead on like a proposal. Like if it's either a funding proposal or a new like restructuring, but yeah, like we weren't really successful in putting together a proposal for that. So I would just go for like if we ask for funding for coordination and we didn't have coordination in the working group, like I just don't see how we could like charge that, to on the community. So that's the thing. I just yeah, I would just aim for like being responsible with the funds, and if we're not offering like any coordination, if we don't have any coordination capabilities or capacity at the moment, we cannot like charge a multi-sig for a role that isn't like really being covered. And I would really really like I mean, of course we need it, there's like a growing need, but if we're not covering that role, this is one of the reasons why we need to just restructure after we halt all of this. So yeah, sorry. I mean, sorry if like there's like any kind of confusion, but I just feel that coordination is just a role that hasn't been covered for communications.
yeah. Well, I mean, speak for yourself. I went to all the meetings yesterday. Last week, I gave a presentation. I've been working on restructuring, talking to different contributors. So, I mean, that's fine. Just pay me for marketing. It'll be the last month I contribute here.
Okay. Would anybody else like to take the stage or have any questions or suggestions?
Uh, it's not a question, kind of suggestion maybe, but I think that, or since I've been here, I see that there's not really a good communication uh, with the with all the contributors. I think I think that's a big problem because I think the teams are doing that very good job, but I feel like there's no like a leadership, like a real good communication, and I feel that it's really important to to keep that in mind and do something to that. I don't feel that only a call per week is like enough for this problem. I see that the problem is the communication. It's only like my my point of view here. Yeah, back to you.
Yes, Miguel. Yes, I agree. Is mostly um, just coordination and pretty much like mostly the reason is because like teams at some point had like so many contributors and there was stuff going on, so we had like information flow, and like different teams were working on different stuff. But I do agree, like when those needs are like covered or they don't turn out so well, I do agree that like people start asking, it's just like what should we do, like what's next. um there's also like this thing on the way we approach like stewarding and the way the stewards working group was organized in the beginning made a lot of sense for teams because we are like one of two like service DAOs, what you could call service DAOs in the TEC, the other one being Gravity. So there's a lot of like coordination and like even stewarding itself that needs to happen around that. And it's just tough, when there's not a lot of stuff going and when people are just like wondering, it's like, oh, what do we do? Like what is like expected, So I feel that just even the nature itself of, like that people have like this like common sense, like while contributing to communications. I just feel that it like in a way grew to somewhere that wasn't really sustainable because these like tough times and like bad market or however you want to call it, like times are where were gonna happen. They were like inevitable in that way, and like there were a lot of successes in communications. I agree with that, but definitely one of the failures was like the sustainability of it on the longer term. So um, right now I do think that we just need to we just need to like do another regrouping and taking decisions about how we're going to move forward. But in the meantime, I feel that we need to just like make tough decisions, especially if like there are certain expectations that are not being like fulfilled. um I feel that's very like related to like other structures of work where someone on top of you like authorizes the payment, and it's really like getting away from what we're trying to like have organizationally in the TEC and communications in general. Um, so yeah, with this in mind, I feel that it's the right time for just halting other activities and reapproaching just the whole thing. Tam, I see you
Yeah.
unmuted. You need to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to hop in too. Thanks, Miguel, for bringing that up. I think it's really important to say and to address. I agree. I think it's communication and leadership. And I one of the things that I see in comms is sort of a meta pattern of the TEC itself. Comms was very ambitious, and it had 5 different work streams and 5 different working groups, and 5 meetings a week. And I think that it was like the TEC stretched too far across too many points of attention. And what we're feeling in the TEC is now we're sort of like after that expansion, we're contracting back into a smaller group that can stay very focused on the success of the TEC. So I sort of see comms as like a similar meta pattern to that. It stretched. It was very ambitious. It had a lot of goals and a lot of attention in many different areas, and now it's sort of condensing back into a smaller focused group, which I think should help with some of the communication. Instead of 5 different meetings or 3 different meetings or however many there were in different channels, and now it'll be one group again. I think with leadership as well, having good leaders in the TEC, everywhere in the TEC is really, really important. Anyway, I just wanted to say thanks for bringing that up, Miguel.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions, or maybe we can wrap up this call a little bit earlier?
Just a quick question. After listening to everything you guys have said and this decision you guys are taking, I'm just wondering, like, how is this process gonna look like in the coming months? Like, who are the ones that are gonna be like taking those decisions and deciding what to do and what not to do, and like, like defining this core team that is planning to do, and what's gonna be like the plan for this restructure? Is there like I'm just basically asking, like, like concrete next steps after the call to give, like a follow-up to all of this transformation.
I mean, I feel it's responsibility of the person who make the proposal. The person who make the proposal is responsible for those funds. So if anything changes on the mind of the person who created the proposal, is that person who should take those decisions, since it's his the reputation of that person who's at stake. So I think, I think it's Chuy's duty.
Yeah, thank you, Septi. And I mean, like, I really want to be open, about like how can we use these funds responsibly? How can we deliver like what we presented to the community? But it like as Septi says, like it has come down to like a rock and a hard place where it's not my decision only. Like that's the point of having a working group and multi-sig. But since I was the one that posted the proposals and that like guided this discussion, I do feel it's important to, like even if it's like tough to like jump into this like responsibility and like really better. Like I want to be open, like I want to keep open. I would love to speak to NT and like NT says like, oh yeah, let's deliver translations. Let's make them happen. And for us to in the end say, hey TEC, like we delivered on these translations that we made a proposal on way back. But like in the end, here it is. Like that's where I want to go. Like I don't want to go towards the path of no, let's back up, let's return all of the money, let's take it back to zero. No, like I really want to reach the goals that we set out to accomplish, and I do feel that in a big part we have done this. But yeah, like we still, like not because we delivered like 50 or 60% of it successfully, I feel that necessarily means that we can be irresponsible about these, like the rest of the funds. So let me know if anyone wants to like, like jump on anything to help deliver this. But yeah, like in the end, I want to take a decision for what's best for the community. And right now, just like having money floating around isn't the best thing to do in times like these. So yeah, thanks everybody for like your comprehension. And I mean, I'm really sorry if like by pushing these kinds of changes, like some people might get uncomfortable. Like remember that we always have gravity to like address these kinds of things, and you can always like count on me and my disposition for participating in these processes. So So yeah, thanks everybody for this, and yeah, we'll be in touch the next few weeks. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you, Chuy, for everything.
Thank you, Chuy.
Thanks, Chuy.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye everybody.
Bye.